welcome to the Skeptic Voices series, which is kind of just a series where I try to get to know the people in our community. But I'm kind of taking it in a new direction where it's like we're sitting down for coffee, and wherever the conversation goes, that's where it's going to go.
That works.
So I guess the first thing I wanted to do is just check in with you. Oh, actually, I just noticed. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Sorry, I missed it.
No worries. It's, well, it's been a little weird for the last couple of years, ever since I discovered I was getting served with a lawsuit on my birthday in 2016. So,
right,
yay!
Yeah, that's, how much actually can you talk about that?
Well, I mean, honestly, at this point, we're still arguing over jurisdiction.
Oh, is that right?
So there's not a ton to say, except that, don't get sued unless you can afford a lot of money at this point.
Right.
Our defense for all 7 of the defendants, which includes 4 people and 3 organizations, is about $100,000.
Oof.
Yeah.
And I know you have a GoFundMe going. How close are you to that?
Not particularly close. Yeah, it's one of those things where there's money of ours involved as well.
Right, yeah.
Unfortunately, that's a lot to ask a community to support. So if it weren't for the fact that at least, some of us can contribute in the long term.
Right. Yeah, it's, I don't know. It seems like pro-social justice people aren't the wealthiest people. so
there is that. I mean, we have one of the defendants is a student. One is a professor at a small liberal arts school. I'm, probably best off financially of all the people being sued. Right. None of our organizations make money. One's a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Geez. So yeah, are you organizations also being sued in the whole thing?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
2 networks, Free Thought Blogs in the Orbit, and Skepticon, which is a nonprofit that runs one of the largest atheist and skeptic conferences on an annual basis. Although they're not doing it this year, not because of the lawsuit, but because they're changing cities and arranging new venues and all sorts of fun stuff like that.
Yeah, it takes a bunch of extra work.
It does.
Yeah. We were trying to get our conference going here in Saskatoon because we did one in Regina, but I don't live in Saskatoon. So then I'm trying to organize people up there to check out venues and see who can do catering and whatnot. And it's just like trying to organize from a distance is way harder.
Yeah. Well, and, honestly, I'm not even involved in the venue selection. I mostly do stuff on the side with Skepticon, arrange some workshops with Monette under Secular Women Work.
Okay.
And I'm exhausted from the process. So
right. Yeah. Geez, eh? Yeah, you just had Secular Women Work not that long ago, right?
We did, just about a month ago.
And how did that go off?
I am told it went very well. I was working.
Right,
and so, I saw every little thing that went wrong and had fingers in most of it. But for the people who weren't doing that part, I'm told they learned a lot and had a good time. People have... networking is actually a big part of what we try to do with Secular Women Work. So, when somebody has a question about how do we do this, they know somebody who's likely to have done it and can get decent advice. But, I'm seeing all these people on Facebook and I'm like, wait, how do you know? Oh, right. You were both at our conference. Excellent.
Yeah, it's like I connected to these people in some way.
I did. I don't remember it, but I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would have liked to have gone to that one, but I don't go to conferences that I don't organize because travel seems expensive.
Yes, and particularly international. And these days, I think there just aren't that many conferences in Canada, at least not that I've heard about.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a non-con again coming up this year or not. But with Imagine No Religion, I after I kind of had a confrontation with Bill, I decided I wasn't going to that one, even if he puts on another one.
I was going to say, are they actually doing another one of those? Because last I heard that was kind of in doubt.
Yeah, I think they lost money on the last one, so yeah, so then they couldn't put in another one together. But I find that it's hard for me to justify going to conferences if these people have decided they're anti-social justice anyway. So
yeah, I can't imagine, well, one, having all that much of a great time.
Right.
But two, also, what are you trying to do with the conference then?
Right. Yeah. What exactly is the goal here?
Are you trying to make the world better in whatever way you think that being anti-social justice does that? Or are you just throwing a party for celebrities? Because that kind of bores me. Yeah,
that's right. I noticed like MythCon was just this last weekend, and it seems like they actually might have been trying to at least put on a show of debate, kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who turned that down. Yeah. And even some of the people who went, I discussed it with them a little bit, and I was like, are you really going to go to this? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I actually completely missed even paying attention to the social media on MythCon, because I was at another conference that Monette Richards put on for her CFI chapter in Northeast Ohio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was speaking there, and that was interesting. That was about the boundaries and kind of the limits of humanism.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think I saw some photos from that, actually. There was, maybe it was your photo.
I posted a couple, yeah. Yeah, Debbie Goddard was speaking, and I posted at least one photo of a slide of hers talking about one of the problems with humanism is that we have, historically at least, based humanist values on what is kind of a caricature of the Enlightenment rather than the whole thing. And I wanted to go give that talk everywhere now. Because it's not just about that, but yeah, that was a great talk.
Yeah.
We did a panel on identity politics.
Okay.
With Debbie and I and the third speaker at the conference, who identified as a Republican, conservative, libertarian working for social justice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
In case anybody's concerned that everybody was just agreeing that this was some kind of echo chamber. No.
Right. There was a Republican there.
There was.
That's
actually
crazy.
There were two. There was one in the audience as well.
Oh, wow. I guess good for them.
I would have preferred if maybe he wasn't an InfoWars listener.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
But that meant he asked questions. We got to answer them. So that was cool.
Right on. Yeah. Did he ask you about the authoritarian nature of the far left progressives?
Not directly.
No.
When I was talking in my talk, which was titled, "What Do You Mean Science is Racist?" No, nothing to get anybody upset in that talk, obviously.
No, of course not.
Right. But I was talking about Philip Rushton, who was a person who did psychology research up in Montreal until he got kicked out for doing research, starting with students on asking them questions on things like penis size and their sexual habits without having gotten IRB approval.
Oh.
And then moving his work to the local mall where he did the same thing, again without IRB approval.
Wow.
And he got strangely enough, barred by his university from doing human subject research.
Go figure.
Yeah. And this guy was suggesting that, anybody can get barred. It's just political.
Right. As though the fact that he didn't go to his board for review,
that he wasn't
played no role in that.
Right. That he was taking, undergrads who are often doing this kind of research for credit and are required to participate in a certain amount of research for their classwork, as though there was no problem sitting them down and prying into their sex lives and their bodies.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it seem like more and more like ethics are considered political correctness? Like
it does. I'm not necessarily sure that, you can say it isn't, because the entire question of like bodily autonomy, which is what we're getting at with Rushton's research, also racism, but that's, a separate thing. But bodily autonomy is kind of a big political issue in the U.S. right now.
It seems so weird.
Yeah.
Like, really, I don't know.
I wouldn't think it should be a huge political disagreement, that maybe we don't pin people down and try to rip their clothes off and stick genitals in their faces. But apparently, well, I don't think I'm in a minority, but there's a very vocal group who disagrees with me on that.
Yeah, that's true, hey? Yeah, they're very loud.
Very.
I'm in an argument group, and it's got people of all different political stripes in it, and there's a couple really outspoken people who are really, I would call them far right, even though they continually deny being far right.
Of course.
And,
everybody's centrist.
Yeah, that's right. They're definitely centrists who don't buy into either political party.
Except, I feel like there's more to the story.
Yeah, that's right. Except when, everything they do supports the Republicans. But, but yeah, they've come out like swinging in this argument group about how every man needs to be on guard all the time about any woman you come in contact could just potentially accuse you of sexual harassment or assault, and you'll just go to jail, and that's it. And yeah.
I mean, there's could, and then there's remotely likely.
Yeah. What is it? The difference between risk factors versus
paranoia?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like at some point, I mean, you could run into somebody walking down the street and they could stab you. That's just a thing that could happen.
Yep.
But it's pretty unlikely.
Yep. I mean, I lived in the city. I used to walk home from work all the time, and I would have coworkers who were like, "It's dark out.
Right.
Are you sure you want to walk home?" Like, yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years. No big deal.
Yeah, I know the
Nothing
area.
has happened.
Yeah, that's right. I feel comfortable in this walking home scenario.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Just, it blows me away the level of fear that one must have in order to believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's entirely true, because people have been working to beat this drum since, at least the 80s, and suggesting that people should be afraid of this. But sometimes it really is hard not to say, okay, that's a really weird fear. Are you sure there's something you're not telling us about why that fear might be justified for you? Right.
Yeah. Like, why is this a thing you're concerned about specifically?
And, it might be because you're listening to all the wrong people.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think a lot of the time that is too. The loudest on the Fox News and the Alex Jones and libertarian Facebook pages.
Oh, skepticism.
Yeah. Yeah. I would not classify those as skeptics. Yeah. They don't seem to apply the critical thinking lens to nearly anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nobody can apply it to everything.
No, that's true.
But you'd think when it comes to the important things,
yeah,
like politics and the future of one's country and perhaps the world, that might be a place to apply a little skepticism.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. Some people are just, they surprise me, I guess, in the way that, like, I actually had to mute that group because I was becoming a worse person for interacting with these people.
I completely get that. I have low blood pressure. Sometimes I take a nap. I wake up after the nap and I have a really hard time getting my blood pressure back up to a reasonable, let's sit up straight kind of level.
Right.
So I'll go online and have an argument.
And that'll do it right away.
Usually, yes.
Yeah.
And it turns out they're not hard to find.
No way. They're pretty easy. All you got to do is just post anything. Like anything.
Well, I've been spending enough years telling people they actually have to have good arguments if they're going to argue on my wall. So sometimes I have to go to somebody else's.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, still not hard to find.
Yeah, you've eliminated some of the worst anyway.
Yes. Yes, some people decide they don't want to argue with you if you tell them they can't just repeat an argument without addressing your counter arguments.
Right. I actually just had an argument the other day on my Facebook page where a guy, I posted something about, something political anyway. And he comes on and he starts talking about, the Koch brothers are in control of Canada and this and that and the other thing. And I was like, okay, well, you sound like a conspiracy theorist. So can you maybe give me some more information? And he says, oh, I bet you don't even know about these 4 contracts that Canada is involved in right now that's going to give control of Canada over to the Koch brothers. Okay, show me.
Let me guess. They're the biggest energy contracts that Canada has and everybody knows about them.
Probably. He absolutely wouldn't show me anything, like he said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just refused. He said, oh, do your own research. Okay.
Sure.
Bye. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun stuff anyway.
So how are Canadian politics these days? I pretty much only hear about Ford. I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, he's I know everybody gets really defensive if you like compare him to Trump because they say it's a lazy comparison, but I feel like he's the Canadian Trump.
Yeah.
It just
seems pretty reasonable.
We have sorry,
between the right-wing nonsense and the corruption.
Yeah, that's right. It just seems pretty easy to compare. Like,
yeah, I mean, they're not identical.
No, no.
But comparison's fine.
Exactly. There's a thing in our Constitution called the notwithstanding clause. And I'm not entirely sure, like, I understand it, but it seems to me like politicians who are in power, if they don't like the way that a court rules against them, they can use the notwithstanding clause to push through whatever they're trying to deal with anyway. And, or to delay a judgment or whatever, right?
Right.
And recently, Doug Ford as the Premier of Ontario, wanted to revamp the City Council of Toronto for some reason. So there used to be 47 districts, and he shrunk it down to 25. And the court ruled that was unconstitutional, that he can't do that because now your individual vote isn't worth as much. And he applied the notwithstanding clause because he can. and everybody's talking about it like, okay, so this is an example of why this is not necessarily a great idea.
I'm sorry, I'm still boggling at the idea that a person who is in the U.S. equivalent, a governor, can muck around with city governments. And I know about the messes that federalism causes for the U.S., but it's times like these when I really like it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like the provincial leader, I guess they say cities are the product of the province. Therefore, they're under the province's jurisdiction for legislature or legislation.
Well, and we have some of that too. It's just the state could never determine, well, okay, almost never. It happened in Michigan. That's how we got Flint.
Oh, right.
But can almost never, by edict or by passing legislation, determine how the state rules or how the city rules itself.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm kind of happy with that.
Yeah. No, it makes sense that a city should be able to control itself in a way. Like, I
mean, it still has to follow all of the state laws.
Right.
But ruling itself is another thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I've heard on plenty of like Canadian podcasts that Doug Ford just had a real hate on for some of his former city council members and resented that he never got to be the mayor of Toronto. So he figured he'd do this.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. I wish it did.
Yeah, no,
but it
right.
doesn't.
Yeah. Politicians are, it's a weird class of people, I think.
Yeah. Although, I have to ask, wasn't it like parts of Toronto that mostly got Ford elected?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So he's not planning to run again then?
I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't want the job. I just want you to elect me. Gosh, that sounds so familiar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I guess Toronto is like the way they had, like I say, 47 districts or something, and now they're going to be down to 25. And that increases the number of people per district to like 100 and I don't know the exact number, but it's somewhere between 100,000 per district and 130 per district, 1,000 per district. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, and it used to be about half that, right? 60,000 per district or something.
Yeah, which is
so
actually still bigger than what it is in Minneapolis, I think.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, we're a small city. We just pretend we're not.
Yeah, I live in a city that's only 300 and some thousand. So.
Yeah, and ours is right around 400,000.
Okay, yeah.
We just have lots of suburbs.
Right. Yeah, we've got a few here too. Regina's divided into quite a few areas. There was actually an election for a guy just one district over from me. And I was just thinking like, ugh, I kind of got the itch to vote lately. Like people in power have been there too long.
Do something.
Yes, I just want to do something. Yeah. So, yeah. So being right next door to it, I was a little annoyed, but the guy I wanted to win still won. So that was good.
No, I completely get that. I mean, being in Minneapolis, it's not all that often where I get to vote in elections that are more than local, where the outcome is not fairly predetermined. Right. And when that happens, it's a primary and is deciding the general election.
Right.
So I completely get feeling like my vote doesn't always count. But I mean, part of the reason things are honestly as good as they are here is that we keep getting out there and voting anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, what do you think about this blue wave that's supposed to be coming here in November? Do you think that's actually a thing?
I think it can be.
If people get off their asses, eh?
Exactly. I mean, people keep complaining about safe districts. And, you know, there are a couple of those right now, but the districts that are actually safe are largely safe because Democrats and people to the left who don't identify as Democrats, because you don't have to register for a party everywhere here. Those districts are safe because the Democratic Party hasn't been working to put up good candidates for so long because they thought the outcome was foreordained. And if you actually get out there and you vote, and it gets to be something like close, even if your candidate doesn't win, the party puts way more resources into your next candidate.
Right, yeah.
Both in terms of recruiting them and in terms of giving them institutional support.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. It's really, I really feel bad that you guys don't have like more like parties that have a potential to win.
I do, but at the same time, I've seen enough parliamentary messes that,
right.
You know, a coalition government isn't always the greatest thing to deal with either.
Yeah.
You know, and all of these systems are the worst except for any other system.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Till we try something different.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, there is some guys going around, I think BC right now, trying to change the way they do their elections. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I don't know. There was a couple episodes of a couple podcasts from out on the West Coast talking about, oh, well, let's try this type of voting where people have more representation per vote and whatnot. It sounded all right anyway, but I mean, until you put it into practice, it's hard to know what it's going to amount to. Exactly.
And honestly, you know, we have third parties here, and in a place like Minneapolis, I mean, we have a city council member who's green.
Right.
He's not the first one. The one I had was arrested for corruption, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Seriously, arrested by the FBI. We had, yeah. Anyway.
That's rough.
But, you know, enough people get out and vote here, despite the elections being considered somewhat safe.
Right.
That people can take a serious look at those third parties without risking the liberal, I'll say, majority that we have.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's because you don't want to split your side too much if the other side isn't going to split itself up either, right?
Right. But when the city is a Democratic stronghold, we had a really strong socialist candidate in the last city election, and honestly, I can't remember whether she won. It was close.
Okay.
Not my rep, obviously, or not my council member. But, you know, when we get stuff like that, it's less risky to vote for a third party.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you have a clear majority, then, yeah, the odd person can vote for another candidate, and it can even out.
Yep. And honestly, you know, if the socialists here got together with the Greens, they'd probably have, they'd have a platform then instead of pieces of a platform.
Right, yeah.
Because most of the Green candidates here are strictly environmental issues and nothing else, which is why they don't get elected.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a full platform.
Yeah.
But if they got together with the socialists, they'd probably do better.
Right, eh? Yeah, that's that's similar to here. We have a Green and like there's a Socialist Party, and there's also I think we have a Pirate Party here in Saskatchewan. I'm not sure. And if all those little groups kind of got together, they would stand a fairly good chance of at least, electing a couple people.
Right. Exactly. We, if the groups got together and said, okay, we have one strong candidate who came out of the socialists in this ward, and we have one strong candidate who came out of the Greens in this ward, and we're going to get together, and the Greens are going to support that socialist candidate in that ward, and the socialists will support that Green candidate. But everybody is trying to be the third party, as though that were going to help, because it's not.
That's kind of what our NDP is here. Like they do a lot of the leftist stuff.
Yep.
So, and in Saskatchewan, they traditionally have done pretty well. They're our second major party right now.
Right.
Like we almost don't have a Liberal Party like actually represented in Saskatchewan because we don't really care for centrists here, it seems.
You're so divisive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny. So I guess, I don't know. What do you think about some the new stuff coming out of the atheist community? Is there anything really big coming out lately?
There are a few orgs working on various things. Obviously, American Atheists is still, in a lot of ways, working on getting itself put back together after getting rid of Dave Silverman. Hired Nick Fish as their president, and I'm with a lot of people who I think Nick can do a fine job. I don't know him all that well.
Right.
But he's a competent guy, and he was holding the thing together with not a lot of help while they were going through their search process. But at the same time, he's a younger white guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and
that's helpful,
I feel
right?
like it's a missed opportunity for American atheists who could have, I don't know, I don't usually think of American Atheists as the organization that takes safe bets, and I feel like they did in this case, and I don't know what that means for American Atheists, so we'll have to see. Again,
I don't know.
Not to denigrate Nick.
Right. I don't know the guy, so.
Yeah. I've only met him a couple of times, and we've never had a ton of opportunity to talk. So I don't know a lot about him, except that he did a pretty decent job holding the spot down.
That's cool, I guess. I mean, it would have been a lot of work.
Yeah. Although I think, and I may be wrong about this, so I'll say it up front, that means that we now have as many white gay men in charge of national organizations in the movement in the U.S. as we have women at all.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Which says something about the state of the movement.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeesh. That's pretty rough, actually.
It is. It is. That being said, there are several of the organizations seem to be doing pretty good things. The Secular Coalition has taken over the Coalition of Reason, which used to be its own organization, and is doing a lot to work on really getting grassroots groups organized, getting their leadership trained, getting them resources to be effective at the local level instead of trying to run everything from the national level, which was what they were trying a few years ago and didn't really work because they didn't really have the infrastructure for it.
Yeah, you'd have to have like a lot of like sub-managers anyway, right? Like,
yeah.
In a way, like,
yep. And one of the issues that they ran into is, the people they recruited were already the people working with other groups.
Right.
Because, of course, when you ask people to volunteer, you get the people who are already volunteering. And so those people were busy.
Right.
But if they just give them the resources to do stuff with their local groups, hopefully that will work out better.
Yeah. That's one of the things that we found like here is that there wasn't enough just people to do things. Like our leadership in our local group has actually shifted hands a couple times, even over the last year and a half, just because everybody's busy doing other things. Exactly.
Yeah, we tend to, for Minnesota Atheists, which I'm the associate president of, we tend to have a very volunteer-oriented board. But even there, there are only so many things that we can do as a board. So we've had to get really pretty good at saying to people who come to us and say, well, why aren't you doing this? Saying, what would you need to do that? What would you need from us? How can we support you?
How can we help?
In you volunteering for this?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It seems, yeah. That seems like quite a difference in message there.
Yes. Yes. How would you like to handle this problem?
Yeah. So, yeah, you're pretty busy with like different organizations. How do you balance that with like your home life? Or
that's a really good question. Part of it is over the last several years, my social life has shifted to be much more within the movement, which to a certain extent is a good thing.
Right. Yeah.
I have to make sure I'm not cutting myself off from people outside. And just the amount of perspective that they can give me and the fact that they help remind me that, no, actually an organization letting that stuff fly is really weird. Maybe your movement shouldn't be doing that.
Right. It doesn't happen anywhere else. Why does it happen here?
Right.
Yeah.
But also, honestly, a lot of it is for the last few years, I've been dealing with health issues that mean I'm not working, that I'm not working full time for long periods of time.
Okay.
That I've mostly done contract work when I haven't been changing something or having a bunch of appointments and that kind of stuff. So my time is actually pretty flexible in a way that a lot of people's is not. So
that's helpful, I guess, eh?
It is. Sometimes it makes it harder to say no, even when I know I should.
Right.
But I've been working on that.
Yeah. I find because of my schedule is 7 days on, 7 days off, my week that I'm at work, I basically don't exist.
Yep.
And then my week that I'm at home, I have so much time during the day that I'm always thinking of new things to try and do to the point where I have no way to do any of them.
Uh-huh. I completely understand that problem.
Yeah, like there was that meme that's like, great ideas, tell someone. And then it went to start project. And then it skipped right around finish project up to great new ideas.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
And at this point, I really try to, okay, here's a great idea. I'm not going to have time to finish that in the next however long. So I'm going to set that aside and not start it. It's still an idea. It's still a great idea.
Yeah.
I might talk about it with other people. They might get excited about it. They might have some time to work on it when I don't. But I'm not going to try to start everything.
That sounds like it takes self-restraint that I may not have.
A lot of years of practice. How's that?
There you go. Yeah, no, that sounds right. Yeah, shit.
I really, really hate not finishing projects. It's one of those things that that makes me feel shame in a way that other people just can't make me feel.
Right.
So I have big incentives
Yeah.
to not start projects I can't finish as well.
Yeah, that's I feel that way when I'm late with an episode of the podcast.
Exactly.
It's like, oh my God, I'm letting the entire world down. Even though people just live their lives. I'm sure they don't care.
Yeah, nobody's paying that much attention to me, but it still feels like it.
Yeah, that's right. Your internal voice says that anyway.
It really does.
Yeah. So I guess what else have you been up to?
So I ran this conference. Oh, wait, we've already talked about that. That was actually a big chunk of my summer.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
I had donated on the Kickstarter to Secular Women Work. And then the next thing I knew, it came up. And I was
yes.
like, oh, holy cow. I was supposed to, I should have double checked to see if I needed to do anything for this third page ad or a third of a page ad for the program or whatever. But then all my downloads like spiked that weekend. So I figured something must have happened anyway.
I apologize. I did send out an email, but you're not the only person who doesn't seem to have gotten there. So we'll have to find another way to boost you and the other person who actually runs a podcast.
Okay.
Who didn't get their ads in, presumably because they didn't get the email.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
I
may have just been sending so many emails at that point that Gmail decided I was spam. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. I know that weekend my downloads did jump quite a bit, so I figured something must have been done anyway.
Well, we did mention our backers from the stage, and put stuff in the program book. So hopefully that helped.
Yeah, no, it seems to have.
But
I don't know if
there's more we should do.
No, it's nice to be able to help out something that's worthwhile like that. I
agree, which is why there's more we should do.
I've made a little bit more money this year from my
Excellent.
job, so I've been trying to like spread the wealth a little bit more. Even like I was saying to my girlfriend last night, actually, I don't think I would make a very good rich person.
You wouldn't stay rich very long.
No, it's like, oh, I got to give money to them, and I got to give money to them, and they all need money too. Like, yeah.
I don't know. That sounds like a pretty good rich person to me.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have a bunch of stuff the way. Well, I might still have a bunch of stuff. I don't know. Depends how rich I was, I guess.
Also, when you're doing podcasting, the toys cost money, but they don't cost that much.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's weird how much you can justify with, but it'll sound better.
Yeah, even though it all sounds pretty much the same on the other end.
This is really for our listeners.
Yeah,
this isn't for us.
This is not a toy that I just want.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Not that I'm sitting next to a microphone I'm not using or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, that's not why I use two microphones to record me at all. It's
right. Nothing to do with that.
No, that's right. It's all about getting two copies and comparing the sound and putting out the best possible sound.
Exactly.
I don't even believe me.
I'm trying. I'm sorry. I'm apparently a bad enabler.
That's all right. Yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, so I don't know. It's been really cool having a chat with you.
Yeah, this has been good.
Do you have anything you would like to plug?
What's going on? Oh, I should note that, for the folks who got merchandise from the Kickstarter, the t-shirts took forever.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've actually seen a couple people post, hey.
Yeah, we have them now. It turns out the whole Outrage Brigade thing was a little more of a pain than we thought.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the design was complicated enough that we ended up going back and forth with our printers several times to get things done. But we have them now, so I should be packaging them up this week and getting them mailed out very soon.
It's probably a lot easier to get stickers made than it is a t-shirt, eh?
It is so much easier because you size the stickers.
Yeah, that's right.
You handle the DPI, and then they just send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, they don't have to be super flexible.
Right. I like to make up logos that I might put on a t-shirt for the podcast every now and then. And
stick to 3-color.
Yeah.
That's my only real advice. Stick to 3-color.
Yeah, you do too many and it gets real complicated.
It does. It really does.
Actually,
but they look good.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I got some hats done a while back with our logo on it, and it's more than the 3 colors. It's like a bunch of, it's like blue and red and orange and yellow, and it's all mixed together. And I got them hand stitched.
Oh boy.
And so it wasn't cheap, and now I'm still sitting on 3 or 4 hats that nobody wants. That, yeah, they're pretty nice hats.
I'm sure they are. They sound great.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, get out there. Buy Corey's hats.
Yeah. Or even just email me and ask for one.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, so anything else to plug?
I don't actually have anything particularly coming up. I didn't want to have something right after Secular Women Work, aside from potentially speaking at Monette's conference.
Oh, okay.
Which ended up happening. So I'm glad I wasn't trying to get work done at the same time.
Right.
So now it's think about what I want to do next.
Cool.
I know with Secular Women Work, we'd like to find some other ways to do some training that don't involve getting everybody together at a conference. We'd still love to do more tracks of workshops at conferences that are already happening, or just sets of workshops.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily have to be our track. If there's a regional conference that wants to add workshops but doesn't really quite know what they're doing, we're happy to help out. We also, I think, are going to work on figuring out how to do some online training.
Oh, cool.
For folks who can't make it to a conference, that kind of thing. I still love the way that conferences bring people together, but hopefully if we can do classes,
right?
If we can keep groups of people together, they'll still get some of that benefit of knowing people they can reach out to and ask when they have a question.
For sure. That actually sounds like it would be a really cool idea.
Aside from that, I just really have to do some writing. It's been months.
It's been a while.
Probably been since the Kickstarter.
Right. Yeah. I was just going to ask you actually if you've been writing for your blog at all, but I guess not.
Well, only promotional posts for our Mock the Movie event once a month. I think I have 3 of those in a row on the blog right now. So
wow. Yeah.
That tells you what kind of summer it's been for writing.
Yeah. I actually, before the summer started, I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to write once a week. I'm going to just practice my writing, and I'm going to start occasionally actually putting something out. And you can tell yourself that all you want, and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. It turns out you actually have to do it, which is really inconvenient sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I really got to practice writing.
Yeah.
I'm not terribly good at it, so I really should practice before I start trying to put things out.
Putting things out. I mean, even if it's just like on your Facebook page or on podcast Facebook page, you get feedback, which is how you get better.
That's true. Yeah.
And how you learn whether you have the tolerance for uncomfortable feedback and or rejection that it actually takes to write significantly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if my skin's that thick.
It might get there.
Yeah, maybe.
I can pretty much guarantee you in this political climate that you should get plenty of practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that things are going well, and I hope that your projects that you would like to get off the ground are go well. And I hope that you guys have a good November for getting the Republicans out of as many seats as you can.
Thank you. I don't have that opportunity to disrupt many, but at least we can keep them out.
There you go. That's as good as getting taken over new ones.
Exactly.
Well, thanks again. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Okay. So.
All right.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Nice little chat. I'll let you know when it's published. It probably won't be too long though.
Okay.
I haven't published a Skeptic Voices episode in a very long time. So.
I don't know how you do it with all the various podcast formats and everything that you do. So yeah, I'm impressed.
Well, thanks. I feel like I've fallen back, like I've failed a little bit on a couple of the things that I normally do, but like my Hardcore Skeptic series, I really want to do like a final episode where I like kind of break down some of the arguments that against social justice that I heard and why they're wrong. But yeah, it's taking a lot of work.
I get that. I get that. I mean, you know, that panel that we did on identity politics, I'm really glad we did it.
Right.
Because like having to break down the kind of stuff that people like Steven Pinker say and the sort of subtle falsehoods and misdirections that are in there, it's really good practice, and not enough people, I think, get heard doing it. Right. So it was really cool to be able to, even if the audience was small, to get a chance to do that. Do you think that those, was there any video or audio of that'll be out? Sadly, no. Oh, geez. That's too bad. Yeah. That would be nice to have out there. Yeah, I would love to see my face and Debbie's when the third guy on the panel said that he was a Republican conservative libertarian. Because I'm like, yeah, sure you are. I mean, I'm not challenging how people identify. Right. But you are not going to stick with that identity all that long. No. You are going to get tired of trying to reform. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's, the idea of conservatism and being pro-social justice is pretty tough. Yeah, I was hoping he'd go out to dinner afterwards, but he had to leave. But I didn't get a sense of how he reconciles conservative with his identity. I get the libertarian because he was basically saying, you know, he thinks libertarianism is basically the best form of governance, but we're not there yet. We're not at a point where people can be equal in the power they yield and the voice they have in a system like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're a libertarian, like I'm an anarchist. Never going to happen. Right. Yeah, I'm an anarchist, but I'll die before we ever reach that society. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the Republican thing, he started a campus Republican group at some point, and he is using that to try to leverage candidates into actually paying some attention to social justice and human rights and that kind of thing. Again, good luck.
Good luck.
I have nothing to say about people who are trying to beat their heads against what feel like closed doors to make things better.
Right, yeah.
I don't get to throw that stone.
Right.
But I get what you're saying. Conservative, I have no idea.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
I guess to each their own, I guess.
Yep.
Right
I mean,
on.
I have some theories. I know how people end up identifying as conservative when the conservatives are less out there. But
yeah. It was a while ago now, but I think Bryce Blankenagel had some argument about what he thought the real definition of conservative should be, and that's why he wanted to retake the name conservative because
right.
But
well, and usually the people I have respected who have considered themselves conservative, although they've almost all given up the label because that's not what it means right now,
right.
Have been people who have said, yes, we want to make change, but we don't want to make change willy-nilly. We don't want to throw out things that already work. We want to, test and go slowly and make sure that any changes we make are actually making things better.
Right. If only that's what it meant.
Right. Well, and that's why these days I refer to small C conservatives and big C conservatives because they're completely different.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually, I used to listen to a radio talk show host that did that, but he came at it from because he always referred to big L liberals and little L liberals as well.
Uh-huh.
But he always meant the political parties versus the people who identify with those things.
Right.
And because we have the Liberal Party, so that's your capital L.
No, actually, I'm sighing over your Conservative Party and people who are still willing to identify as conservative in that sense. And it's just,
Yeah, actually, I guess I didn't mention it while we were recording, but there's a guy who just recently left the Conservative Party, and he's going to start the People's Party.
Okay.
But he's the leader, and nobody gets to. There's no leadership race.
The Person's Party.
Yeah, that's right. The Maxine Bernier Party. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah, he just gets to lead it.
And we've had several movements like that over the last couple of decades here in the U.S. We had Perot's Party, which had a couple of different names. We had the party that Jesse Ventura ran for governor under here, which I think called themselves Reform at that point. They've also undergone at least one name change.
Right.
So, we've had that several times, people trying to create that conservative party that is not the Republican running for the right wing party. They're only a little bit right wing.
Yeah.
But they like gay people.
Right. Yeah. And they want to smoke pot.
Right. Right.
Yeah. 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 I get a kick out of it. I by all means, split the vote on the right. That's what I say, but.
Yep. I will take it.
Yeah, that's right.
As long as they don't do it too successfully.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I don't want any of those people running anything.
Yeah, they really shouldn't be in charge, but if they want to take a few votes away from the other ones, then
spoil away.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thanks again.
Very welcome. Going. This is fun.
Yeah, it was a good chat.
Yeah.
All right. You have a good one.
Take care. Alrighty. Bye-bye.
That's it for this episode of Skeptic Voices. I hope you enjoyed it. For anything else, you can contact me at mail@brainstormblog.net. You can follow Stephanie on Twitter at @Zvan. and check out her blog, Almost Diamonds on the Orbit. I'll put those links in the show notes. You can follow the show on Twitter at BrainstormPod, check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/brainstormpodcast, or join our discussion group. Just search for the Brainstorm Podcast discussion group. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Hardcore Skeptic. Thanks to our financial supporters, Kayla, Janet, Kim, Stephanie, Zach, the Utah Outcasts, Will, Aaron, Daryl, Destin Sucks, Bob, Glenn, Destin Doesn't Suck That Much, Magnus, several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave, Positively Skeptical, Rob, Keith, the Podunk Polymath, Larry, the Flying Spaghetti Monster, Sauce Be Upon Him, and now, Freethinker 215. If you want to join them and help the show grow, then you can do that at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. For show notes, check out our website, brainstormblog.net, and should follow the show on Spreaker for notifications whenever a new episode is up or we go live. That's at spreaker.com/user/brainstormpodcast. And check out our store on TeePublic. It's teepublic.com/stores/brainstorm-podcast-gear. Remember to give us a rating, a thumbs up, or a fave on your podcatcher of choice. Join our Facebook group, like our page, follow us on Twitter, share the show, and spread the word. Thanks for listening, and remember, the truth matters, and so do people.